Shiviti Adonai V'nekitavi Kimini V'alemo Lachem Samachrivi Ve'akem Kivodi Apesavi Yishkol Apetah Kilot Hazot Nafshi Rishon Lo Titen Hasimcha Leroshachar Tov Yehei Ora Hayim Ora Hayim Sofasemaho Epachnecha Imot V'Michanetzah Shiviti Adonai V'nekitavi Kimini V'alemo. I have set the eternal always before me. God is at my side. I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure, for you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful ones see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your name. O God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, Return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory is not accompanying us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. Death has taken our beloved Laura Sparks, wife of George Sparks, mother of Nathan and Tova, brother of Sam Miller, sister of Erin and Joel Drinnin, sister-in-law of Jason, Amanda, Monica, Joe, John, Liz, and Richard, beloved daughter of Lloyd and Toby, and stepdaughter of Beverly, all who preceded her in death, beloved aunt, cousin, dear friend of the multitude. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Laura's love that united all in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship that was shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind that brought joy and happiness and are now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, and light as in darkness, and joy as in sorrow, and life as in death. We will now continue with the 23rd Psalm. Followed by Esa Einai, Psalm 121.
Adonai Ro'i, O exalt, Elot Hashem, Amen,
Moments of personal prayer and silent meditation.
Laura asked me to commit to this role today, deliver an eulogy, right after her diagnosis back in September. I was still in shock, and she took advantage. And just said, I just need you to say that yes, and now it's done and you're committed, okay. And despite knowing about 9 months ago that this was expected of me, I couldn't get started. I couldn't write anything about her as though she was in the past, because she wasn't. I was finally able to start writing Saturday when I knew there wasn't much time left and the pressure was on to get it right. Because trust me, she has this whole service plan down to the minute. I don't want to listen even now, especially. We have a strange history as step-siblings. We spent our childhoods unconnected for the most part. By the time Sam and Laura's dad, Lloyd, and my mom, Bev, moved in together, Sam and Laura were out of the house and onto their own young adventures. And Joel and I were uninteresting school-age children with nothing in common with either of them. Actually, my first solid memory of Laura was of a summer when she lived with us in our den. She must have been about 22 or 23, and I remember thinking she was so incredibly cool. She wore long, flowy skirts and Birkenstocks, basically the same way. And spent most of her time making beautiful clay beads that she fashioned into earrings and bracelets and pendants and sold in a nearby shop. I remember being in awe of her creative abilities. Laura actually told me the other day that she still has those beads that she made back then, which is probably not surprising if you know Laura. Then it was my and Joel's turn to go on to young adult adventures away from home for several years. We all started to grow closer as our family grew, and we one by one settled back in the Brumley area and started having children of our own. I still remember visiting with Laura in her sunroom, playing with the joyful baby Toby. It was so adorable. And feeling so lucky that I got to be a part of this bigger family. At some point, we all started to realize that we were each other's fellow characters in our life stories, and we became fierce protectors of each other. We started to get offended when people called us stepsister or stepbrother. No, that's my brother, that's my sister. But it really wasn't until our family started to shrink, first with my mom's passing and then Lloyd, that we became really close. We were all orphaned then with no glue except ourselves. And lucky for us, it made our relationship stronger. Our need for shared moments, events, laughs, all that much more important. We were the curators of our stories now. We were responsible for creating the history of our family and ushering it on through the next generation. So we'll do our best today with Laura's help to share her story. I was talking with Laura several months ago and telling her about a friend who had nudged me to think about my superpower. If you were a superhero, what was your superpower? What are you really good at? My friend asked me. So I asked Laura, what's your superpower? She joked about pandemic life and all the superpowers we've all had to use. Patience, resilience, tenacity, combating boredom. We didn't talk about it then, but as I was reflecting on this conversation the other day, it occurred to me, I know what Laura's superpower was. It was art. From her singing and acting to her everyday creative streaks of taking nature photos, collecting beautiful things, and writing haikus, she was always creating, experiencing, and enjoying art. The thing is, art was Laura's passion, it was her purpose, her reason for being. And lucky for all of us, she didn't shy away from it, and she shared it with the world. And it didn't have to be big. When she wasn't consumed with rehearsals for her next play, she taught herself the ukulele and started the Facebook page, Two Cats Haiku. One day, years ago, she decided to start making magical wands and created a website to sell them. Maven cherished her wand that she got from Laura Sparks' warble, and only realized years later when I told her that the magical wizard who had made it sent it to her was actually her aunt. More recently, Laura and her beloved friends, dubbed the Little Hotties, regularly got together and read through plays. Laura knew we all were mostly doing it just for her, and that made it that much more meaningful. Laura had other superpowers too. I noticed she put it in her slideshow, which I only just saw, that her superpower was making the truest friends. So true about her. She loved making friends and introducing them to each other. Another superpower was definitely her giggle. She had the best giggle. It came so easily for her. Also, her ability to find amusement and beauty in the simplest, most ordinary things, like her absolute delight watching Chomp the Groundhog on Instagram. Or do you all remember when she learned Snapchat? Snapchat. Thanks to her young friends. We spent a long time in my kitchen, right through every single filter on Snapchat. I would get random text messages from her with links to tutus for our chickens, Halloween costumes for our guinea pigs, and she would eagerly ask if maybe they could wear them. She would find something she really liked, like these beautiful bracelets she found in Colorado, and obsess over them and collect many of them, just simply because they were beautiful and she wanted to surround herself with beautiful things. Even her room, her sunroom, is an eclectic, delightful collection of everything Leora has ever treasured, which is a lot of stuff. She was also the capturer of the magic. She was the photographer of her lives. Leora put together a photo slideshow for today, which makes a lot of sense because she was the one who was always making sure the moments were captured. And lastly, she was really good at eating all the snacks. It was one of her favorite pastimes, and was definitely super proud of her. Leora had so much to be proud of. She loved toys, Toby, and made them all she had. She was your biggest champion and ally, and she was really, really proud of both of you. Leora felt immense, deep love for George, and a little bit of empathy, too. Poor George, she would say to him with a giggle, because she knew she was a little messy, a little bit undomesticated. She would have been hard-pressed to participate in the typical mom talk about the drudgery of cleaning, cooking, and laundry. She wasn't really interested in any of those activities, and wasn't really pursuing them all that much. I always admired this greatly about her. She was kind of my hero. Joel shared with me many times his amazement at Leora's grace and humor throughout her cancer journey. It's true. And although she wasn't at all ready to leave us, I think she was comforted by the many cherished friends, family members, experiences, and beautiful things that she accumulated in her lifetime. As the tool Rolande writes in Being Mortal, a book that Laura and I had many discussions about, the only way death is not meaningless is to see yourself as something, part of something greater, a family, a community, a society. Laura had many achievements and passions in her life, demonstrated by the many eclectic people that are here today. I only hope that in Laura's honor, we can all delight in more experiences, collect more beautiful things, pursue our passions, and embrace our superpowers more fully like she did.
Laura's and my parents both died of cancer. Mom at 41 in 1981, Dad at 78 in 2017. After Dad passed, our little gallows humor joke with each other was that by averaging their ages, we could expect our diagnoses around 60. So much for Jewish optimism. The last time Laura and I were in this sanctuary together was after performing last year's Yom Kippur service. Since it was during the quarantine, we were alone, live streaming through her laptop, she at this bima, and me in my makeshift orchestra pit. We had already received her diagnosis and prognosis, and she had told Rabbi Kaufman but wanted to wait till after High Holy Day services before informing the congregation. Because I knew it would be her last High Holy Days, I was intently watching her, trying to sear the moment in memory. Between each piece, she would mute the computer mic, step away from the camera's eye, cough, recompose herself, then sing the next prayer. Upon finishing the service, she looked at me, defeated and exhausted, tears welling, and said, "I don't think I can do this anymore." And I wouldn't move as much. We had a long, loving, sorrowful hug together right here in front of the Ark and the Torah scrolls that we together had dressed in their holiday whites. Ironically, quarantine conditions allowed her to continue cantering from home via Zoom during weeks when she wasn't suffering chemotherapy side effects. When we returned to live services, she managed singing for the first two in the social hall, but the chemo wasn't working. While her musical spirit remained, her energy was gone. She had given all she could. So first, I want to say for both Laura and me how honored and grateful we have been to serve on Temple B'nai Yeshurin's volunteer cantor staff. Not only has performing for Shabbat services, holidays, and life cycle events been a way to contribute to the congregation, it has allowed us to play music together regularly while exploring our ethnic musical roots. We are both completely drawn to and enamored with anything drumming in Mediterranean Yiddish and minor keys. And Laura was quite the scholar in researching such arrangements and incorporating them into services. We even composed and performed a couple of our own pieces. For allowing such opportunity and indulgence, thank you from both of us. Since her diagnosis, Laura and I have talked a lot, reminiscing about our lives together, ruminating about death and dying, musing about what I should say today, imagining who might succeed her as my moral compass, and just sharing long, comfortable, silent moments. Obviously, that cannot all fit into this eulogy, but I hope a couple of personal anecdotes and insights and some of Laura's own words will suffice. Don't worry, it'll still be long. In the immediate years following our mother's very premature death, Laura remained relatively mute when conversations about Mama rose. She rarely participated, though she never overtly left the room, and I wondered and worried how she was coping. But when she was about 16, she and her Roosevelt High School thespian friends collaborated in raising funds to rent the Des Moines Science Center auditorium and purchased the copyrights to produce, direct, and star in playwright Michael Christopher's The Shadow Box. The play is set in a hospice-type hospital where 3 terminal patients live with their respective families, confronting, if not reconciling, their relationships. The role Laura chose for herself was a vixenage woman who arrives, more or less uninvited, to care for her ex-husband who was already accompanied by his younger gay lover, played by Laura's friend Erin Drinnin. Intense drama ensues. What struck me so profoundly was that I saw my younger sister, still a teenager, able to harness her developing acting talent and channel it into her own therapy for dealing with our mother's death. Much to my dismay, and to both our amusement, when I recounted this memory to her only weeks ago while preparing this eulogy, she said, that's funny. I don't remember that having much to do with why we chose it. Erin and I just wanted to do an over-the-top scene where we got to slap each other on stage. She nonetheless appreciated my interpretation and thought it okay that I continue embracing it. When asking Laura what I should say today, she wanted it known, and Erin already said it, and Slideshow said it, you can say it if you want to. For anyone who doesn't already know, the skills that gave her the most joy were singing, snacking, and making friends. And the extent to which she could combine those activities made her that much more joyous. Laura fully embraced life and enriched it with the music, poetry, and performing arts she absorbed and projected. She loved her friends and family and never tired of expanding and intermingling those circles. Whether acting on stage, singing in choirs and a cappella groups, cantering on the bima, crooning pleasure with the Java Jews, or simply strumming Tin Pan Alley tunes on her ukulele in her sunroom and composing haikus, Laura pursued these passions not only to fill her own soul, but to enrich those around her and draw more people to her. As Erin already highlighted, Laura's approach to most of life was to find the art in it or make art out of it, even in dying. Some of you followed her blog, The Lying Down Artist, which she kept during both bouts with cancer. I'd like to read her short post where she explains the title's origins. You might well wonder, so I will try to explain from whence came the name. She even begins that haiku. 10 years ago, I was sitting in the passenger seat of the car. George was delivering me to my double mastectomy surgery. I said something like, I don't know why I'm so nervous. It's not like I'm the one who has to perform the surgery. Turning into the hospital parking lot, he said kindly, you're justifiably anxious. What my brain heard through my panic fog was, "You're just a lying down artist." And it struck me, that is exactly correct. That is my job today. And the thought came in useful for getting myself through that somewhat frightening experience. I would breathe and say in my head, "Don't look at me, buddy. I'm just a lying down artist, and I'm doing a great job just lying." And the thought came useful for getting myself through that somewhat frightening experience. I would breathe in That idea has continued to serve me well over the years. Most definitely in that first year of breast cancer treatment with its many surgeries and chemotherapy appointments. But also sporadically in the decade to follow, even as cancer appointments became fewer and eventually none. I used the thought to get through hated dental work and various needle sticks, and any other time my body needed to be delivered into someone else's hands for necessary but unpleasant procedures. Now, suddenly 10 years later, I'm staring down some pretty dismal health news. The month of September 2020 has been full of new tests and procedures as they're trying to figure out a more specific diagnosis and prognosis and, I hope, a plan. Suddenly this month, the lying down artist has emerged from semi-retirement and is fully booked with gigs, many of them new and challenging. It's a difficult art to practice, always learning though. Life for Leora was a palette, a stage, a studio, a poem, and even the dying process was another medium to explore, experiment with, and learn from, painful and premature and reluctant a gig as it turned out to be. And some of you who are close to both of us probably know that I emerged from our childhood and more psychologically scarred than Leora. When I asked her how this could be, having been raised by the same parents in the same household, she told me flatly, "I never took them as personally as you did." Click. The light bulb went on. I understood her immediately. Whenever either parent would launch into lengthy, top-of-the-lungs lectures, scolding us about our actions or attitudes, I would fight back, rhetorically thrusting and parrying as best I could, rarely if ever winning my point, just prolonging the argument, but never earning a reprieve from punishment. Leora, on the other hand, would go zen, quietly and patiently wait for the tempest of their tempers to wane, then calmly go to her room and serve her sentence, which always seemed less severe than mine. When I pushed her to elaborate how she realized what I never did, she recounted a specific indelible moment. When she was 13, she overheard a conversation between Mom, who was rapidly dying of her cancer, and one of Mom's best friends who was contemplating ending her marriage. Eavesdropping from the next room, Leora observed the scene's absurdity. Mom wasting away, bedridden and drugged, yet still consoling and advising her friend who so needed her encouragement and blessing to upend the family and reinvent herself. Leora told me, I remember thinking, wow, adults are just as fucked up as kids. They really don't know anything either. And I remember consciously filing away this information, knowing I would need it later. One concluding nugget of wisdom the American Jewish psychotherapist Sheldon B. Kopp offered in his book, If You Meet the Buddha on the Road, Kill Him, is that, quote, there are no mothers and fathers for grown-ups, only sisters and brothers. I don't know if Leora ever read the book, certainly she had at 13, but she nonetheless learned this lesson. She understood early that parents' anger and pathologies are theirs, not their children's. I, consequently, for too many years thought it was all on me, that I caused whatever angst and anger made life anything less than they thought it should be. So while Leora and I are literal sister and brother, she was also a figurative fellow traveler who held my hand and walked beside me down numerous dark, unpaved roads. Leora was a loving, devoted wife, mother, sister, aunt, niece, cousin, and friend. She amassed so many friends over the years that I cannot possibly name you all. If you saw yourself in one of her slideshow photos, consider yourself on the list. Hell, even if you didn't see yourself on the photo, you're probably on the list. She remained close to so many of you, her high school friends, her fellow theater major college friends, her California a cappella and choir friends, her Des Moines a cappella and choir friends, her Des Moines, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco thespian friends, her taekwondo friends. I'm sure I'm overlooking some other group of friends. And she cherished and honored her role as cantoral soloist for the temple and all the friends and colleagues she cultivated in the Des Moines Jewish community. Leora loved and devoted herself to our family, and you, I will name. Our siblings and sibling-in-laws, Erin and Jason, Joel and Amanda. She cherished being aunt to her nieces, Maiden, Jade, and Beatrice, and her nephew, Owen. She loved her sister-in-law, Monica, whose loving care and support she and all of us so appreciate, especially in these last weeks. Though we hadn't kept in close touch, she loved and was fond of our Uncle Chuck, Aunt Bonnie, Aunt Judy, and cousins Carla and Doug. And she became enamored with our cousin Amy, whom we only in recent years discovered was part of our Shine clan, Shine being the mom's side of the family. George, I can only imagine feeling this loss. Losing your wife in completely reciprocal love and devotion to each other, your yin-yang personalities that complemented and balanced your marriage was rare and inspirational. Being deprived of years together you planned and looked forward to is simply not fair. And Leora told me how you talked it through and agreed you both been cheated. I too agree and can only offer hope that the memory of each other's love will someday provide as much or more solace as the grief that for now shrouds you. Nathan and Toby, losing your mother, who loved you both so much, her heart continually broke just watching you grow and be, is an immeasurable loss. But know that you are not alone. Of course you have your father, but also you have your aunts and uncles, you have your cousins, and you have all of your mother's friends who will honor her memory by being here for you. And you probably don't need my reminding you, but you have each other. And anyone who knows you are as close or closer as any brothers can be. Don't let fear or stoicism or a preference for silence and solitude sabotage your bond and ability to help each other breathe. Finally, know that I'm available and here for you in any way you need for commiseration and coping. Your mother and I were pretty much your ages when we lost our mother. So, as I grieve losing my sister, I also understand the specific loneliness, anguish, grief, and fear that shrouds you as you grow from teenagers to young men without your mother to witness and share your emerging lives. Leora faced death with grace, dignity, and acceptance. But acceptance does not mean she was ready to die. She knows she got cheated. There were years of singing and acting and loving and living and snacking she eagerly anticipated. Her lesson to me, not to take life or the people in it too personally, is one I intend practicing. But right now, that will be hard when I've just lost my closest kin and best friend. When past best friends and family died, Leora was there for me. Only days ago, while hunched over her, sobbing and lamenting, how could I traverse those dark, unpaved roads without her? With great effort, she lifted her hand, laid it on my shoulder, and quietly said, "You'll get it, Sam. You'll get it." Her last words to me. I'm so grateful for all of you who are sharing today with Leora's family. I'd like to close by honoring her with a short 5-stanza haiku of my own. Leora, my sister, seasons for you are over. Your love eternal. End of spring you left. We all share the loneliness of life without you. Leora, my sister, who was also my best friend, irreplaceable. Music, poetry, theater, gifts you gave us, how you could perform. Laura, my sister, with memory and blessing, bless us with shalom. Thank you.
Laura was a good friend with whom I've spent a multitude of hours leading and planning services over the years. She had a tremendous musical talent, the voice of an angel. And she wanted to be that, or fun, or well, appropriate to whatever character she was playing on stage. I had the opportunity to be in a number of Purim-Spiels, to see her in a number of Purim-Spiels, plays about the story of Esther that our congregation and community put on for Purim. Laura was often in the role of Esther, or one of the other major roles. She could sing and act as well or better than anyone. She was fun to watch on stage. She devoted her time and energy to making whatever she was doing be the best it could be. Putting in countless hours each year on organizing choir notebooks and making sure that every bit of music was just right, for example. Practicing day after day, even things she knew well. And working on her own funeral service. Laura was a cantorial soloist, helping to lead our services, sort of choral manager, making sure, as I said, that what the choir needed was done right. An accomplished actress both in temple productions and in productions of community theater. She took pride in perfecting the recordings for the High Holy Days last year when it was difficult for her. We had to schedule around her treatments around how she was feeling. Singing different parts for holiday services in previous years, or singing silly songs for children's services for the High Holy Days, Passover, or family Shabbat. I'll remember her singing Kol Nidre at the family Yom Kippur service. It was wonderful to listen to. But also Shabbat Feeling and Family Shabbat, or the frog song on Passover. It's always fun to listen to her singing frog songs. And she enjoyed being able to be a part of life cycle events, particularly being able to participate in funeral services like this, to be there to help families who were in mourning. She took part in the community Kaddish, the burial society as well, for the same reason. She wanted to be able to help those who were in mourning. Beyond liturgical music, Laura was known to sing with Java Jews, and the community knew her from numerous roles in local theater productions. And then since the winter of 2019, we relied on Laura a lot. When COVID hit, she, Sam, and I went into TV production mode. We had it all down to a science every Friday night. Laura was always on. She knew, I knew how bad things were, but she never really let it on to anyone outside her inner circle, until she just couldn't avoid it. And during COVID, she even added opportunities to share her musical talent with nights of song, in which she played her ukulele and sang songs on Zoom and Facebook Live, kind of like what she had in the slideshow. Those are on my Facebook page if you look back. Providing a bit of light and joy during some of the more isolating times of the epidemic. I'll miss Laura as a friend, as a partner in leading services, and as a light. I'll keep her name, Leora. Always bringing a bit of joy and comfort into whatever environment she was in. It as I mourned for myself, I mourned also for her family. Laura was even more devoted to them. When we spoke yesterday, George wanted to mention the line from Song of Songs found in the Tova, I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine, is most meaningful and descriptive of their relationship. That yin-yang thing that Sam said. He noted as well that Laura brought together many groups of people. George considers himself to be part of one, a group of friends, as I mentioned, so many different groups of friends Laura brought together. She had an impact on whoever she was around, generally making them feel at ease and cared about. She had a profound impact on the temple community, on its musicians, on me, and on so many others. Yet her devotion as wife and mother to George, Nathan, and Toby was well beyond them. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you and with her other family members who are represented by Sam and Erin today in their speeches. We will miss her presence in their lives. Leora was an Esa Einai, a woman of courage, a woman of strength and poise. Because she did it so well, most people didn't realize just how strong and courageous she was. She showed us how to live, and she faced adversity and carried on. Amid it all, she sang, often with bouncy and happy songs. I've got that Shabbat feeling up in my head. Not because she was faking, but precisely because she wasn't. Singing and making people happier, lifting spirits was a big part of who Laura was. For months, I've dreaded hearing the news that I knew was coming all too soon. Dreaded having to say goodbye to another dear friend who gave so much of herself to others. But in the time of life, lost in the time of life, I wasn't sure what to say. I think it's this. A lesson I already learned myself. She and I talked about it, in fact, months ago. Live while you can. Sing your song, even if they're silly. Enjoy your time with your loved ones. Just don't expect there to be a time later. And if you get that time later, make the most of it. Haim Nachman Bialik wrote of one who died with another song within him. Leora was an ever-flowing spring of songs and melodies. We're saddened not to have been able to hear more of them, but we are all incredibly blessed to have had the opportunity to hear what she shared with us. To share her life song as well, the beauty in between the sobbing notes. Laura Sparks will be dearly missed. Now I'd like to call on Nurit.
Hi everyone. I am Hatlen. I'm a college friend. Laura and I met when we were 18 years old in the first day of classes. It was almost 35 years ago. A few weeks ago, when I was visiting, Laura asked me to read something at his funeral. And I said, well, what? She said, no, just something you want to do. And so I sent her this poem. I said, I really love this poem. And it reminds me of you. What do you think? She, in her very moral way, said, this is a beautiful poem. I approve. But, so the thing is, I can't promise to you that this was one of her favorite poems. But what I can tell you is that I know that she loved that I loved it because that was the kind of friend she was. And that made it just fun. Any Common Desolation by Ellen Bass. Any common desolation can be enough to make you look up. Yellow leaves of the apple tree, few that survive the rains and frost, chopped with late afternoon sun. They glow a deep orange gold against a blue so sheer, a single bird would rip it like silk. You may have to break your heart, but it isn't nothing to know even one moment alive. The sound of an oar in an oar lock, or a ruminant animal tearing grass. Smell of grated ginger. The ruby neon of the liquor store sign. Warm socks. You remember your mother, her precision of ceremony, as she gathered the white cotton, slipped it over your toes, blew up the heel, turned the cup. A breath can uncoil as you walk across your own muddy yard, the Big Dipper pouring night down over you. And everything you dread, all you can't bear, dissolves. And like a needle slipped into your vein, that sudden rush of the world.
A child said, "What is the grass?" fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of hopeful green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord, a scented gift and a remembrancer, designedly dropped, bearing the owner's name some way in the corners that we may see and remark and say whose. Or I guess the grass is itself a child, the produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folks as among white. Canuck, Tuckahoe, Congressman Cuff, I give them the same, I receive them the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be if I'd known them, I would have loved them. It may be you are from old people, or from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are, the mother's laps. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers. Darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths. Oh, I perceive, after all, so many uttering tongues. And I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about the old men and mothers, and the offspring taken soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death. And if ever there was, it led forward life and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward. Nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed. And luckier.
I'd like to call on Rabbi Barton to lead us in Maleh.
Many months ago, a very rare, and I didn't know how rare and precious, ukulele session. Leora asked me to do a Rachamim for her. It's a memorial prayer for the deceased. I do it first in English, first in Hebrew and then in English. It is a profound honor to do this.
קולות קדושים וטובים, כזוהר הרקיע מסבירים. את נשמת ליאורה בת לויד וטובה, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. אנא בעל רחמים, הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים. ותרוא בזרוע חיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום המשכבה, ונאמר אמן. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, the soul of Leora Starr, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul always be bound up in the bond of life, the bond of love, and the bond of good memories. May she always rest in peace. Let us say, Amen.
I will say, mourner's Kaddish. Yidgadal, Yidgadal, Shemekah, Ve'alman, Yidgadal, 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 V'chayekol, Yom Yachol, V'chayekol, Beit Yisrael, Ba'alav, Yizman, Karim, V'chru, Amen. V'hei Shmei, Ba'alam, Barak, V'alav, V'hei Amayah, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitzhar, Yitzhar, Yitzhasem, Yitzhadar, Yitzhalah, Yitzhalah, Shmei, Kusha, Riku, Nehela, Yinkol, Birkata, Beshirata, Tushrata, Vermata, Damiram, Yelmal, Yibru, Amen. Hey, Shlama, Rabba, Min, Shemaya, Rahim, Amenu, Ve'achol Yisrael, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Abraham, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'achol Yisrael, Amen. May God grant peace to those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Let us say, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu.
Some bright morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, your glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have grown, I'll fly away. Like a bird that prison bars has flown, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joys will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. I'll fly away.
I have to watch your lips move. Alright, ready? We need Enzo to be our prompter. Of all the boys I've known, and I've known some, when I first met you I was lonesome. And when you came inside, dear, my heart grew light, and this whole world seemed new to me. You're really swell, I have to admit you deserve expressions that really fit you. And so I racked my brain, hoping to explain all the things that you do to me. My dear Mr. Shane, please let me explain. My dear Mr. Shane needs your bread. My dear Mr. Shane, again I'll explain. It means you're the fairest in the land. I could say Bella, Bella, even say Wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how grand you are. I've tried to explain, my dear Mr. Shane, so kiss me and say you understand. My dear Mr. Shane, it's such no refrain, and yet I should explain. My dear Mr. Shane means that you're grand. My dear Mr. Shane, it's such an overgrain, and yet I should explain. It means I am begging for your hand. I could say Bella, Bella, even say Wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how grand you are. I've tried to explain, my dear Mr. Shane, so kiss me and say you understand. So kiss me and say you understand. Just kiss me and say you understand.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we really learned it virtually. Yes.
That's great. You sound
I've got a shiny penny in my pocket. Nobody But for me it's brighter than the sun above, because it is your love for me. And with my shiny penny in my pocket, I keep the blues at bay. I know your love is at my fingertips, though your lips are miles away. I have wealth beyond measure, even though I lack the pleasure of your kiss and your company. I cash it in daily and I'll never go broke, 'cause my shiny penny always comes rolling back to me. I'll keep my shiny penny in my pocket, safe as a lucky charm, till that dizzy day when you walk through my door and I can hold you in my arms. I have wealth beyond measure, even though I lack the pleasure of your kiss and your company. I cash it in daily and I'll never go broke, 'cause my shiny penny always comes rolling back to me. I'll keep my shiny penny in my pocket, safe as a lucky charm, till the dizzy day when you walk through my door and I can hold you in my arms. I can hold you in my arms. I see the moon sees me, down through the leaves of the old oak tree. Please let the light that shines on me shine on the one I love. Over the mountains, over the sea, back where my heart is longing to be. Please let the light that shines on me shine on the one I love. I hear the lark hears me, singing a song with a memory. Please let the lark who sings to me sing to the one I love. Over the mountains, over the sea, back where my heart is longing to be. Please let the lark who sings to me sing to the one I love. I kiss the rose kisses me, fragrant as only a rose can be. Please take the kiss that comforts me back to the one I love. Over the mountains, over the sea, back where my heart is longing to be. Please take the kiss that comforts me back to the one I love. I see the moon sees me, down through the leaves of the old oak tree. Please let the light that shines on me shine on I love. Please let the light that shines on me shine on the one I love. glad to see you round our hive a-buzzing. It is plain to see you were meant to be flying here with all your uncles, aunts, and cousins, sniffing all the flowers, tasting all the honey. We will play for hours while the sky is sunny. Welcome, baby bee, to our family. We're so glad to see you round our hive a-buzzing. It is plain to see you were meant to be flying here with all your uncles, aunts, and cousins, sniffing all the flowers, tasting all the honey. We will play for hours while the sky is sunny. Welcome, baby bee, to our family. We're so glad to see you round the sky is sunny. It is plain to see, tasting what meant to be. Flying here with us, while the sky is sunny. Sniffing all the flowers, tasting all the honey. We will play for hours while the sky is sunny. It is plain to see, tasting what meant to be. Flying here with us, while the sky is sunny. When I'm tired and lonesome from traveling, and I stop to lay down my pack for the night, I ponder the folks I've run into, who shared my path for a mite. Some brought me trouble and some brought me joy, causing a tear or a smile. Their stories I tell to the sky up above, and the memories brighten each mile. For the stars know their names, and we'll sing them as we remember. And we won't be the same, but we'll sing as they light the way. Some trips are started on purpose, while some travels happen by wild circumstance. The same holds true for the fellows you end up meeting by chance. Whether warthogs or witches, friendly or foe, from deep darkest forest to wide open sea, their stories become part of who I am now, so I travel in fine company. For the stars know their names, and we'll sing them as we remember. And we won't be the same, but we'll sing as they light the way. For the stars know their names, and we'll sing them as we remember them. And we won't be the same, but we'll sing as they light the way. I know a boy named Owen and his sister, she's called Bee, and they have some loving cousins who they always like to see. And one day Owen set out to explore away beyond the trees. Cried his sister and his cousins, "Wait for us, if you please." "Oh, oh, Owen, where you going, where the green grass grows and skies are blue?" "Oh, oh, oh, Owen, hey Owen, where you going when you go? Can I come along with you?"
If you journey to the stars or to the bottom of the sea, I hope that you will say, hey, come along with me. In the mountains and the jungle, our adventures will unfold. No need for any worry, 'cause you've got my hand to hold. Oh, oh, Owen, where you going? Where the green grass grows and skies are blue. Oh, 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 Owen, hey, Owen, where you going? When you go, can I come along with you? So many places we can go outside our own front door. We'll find new animals and plants we've never known before. We will be so happy to see what we can see, having fun and finding beauty. That'll be the key. Oh, oh, Owen, where you going? Where the green grass grows and skies are blue. Oh, 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 Owen, hey, Owen, where you going? When you go, can I come along with you? I wanna go and do the things you do. Together we will see the world with eyes all bright and new. And when you're tired, we'll go home and put the day to bed. There's really nothing better with a new day just ahead. Oh, oh, Owen, where you going? Where the green grass grows and skies are blue. Oh, 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 Owen, hey, Owen, where you going? When you go, can I come along with you? Oh, oh, Owen, where you going? Where the green grass grows and skies are big, bright blue. Oh, 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 Owen, hey, Owen, where you going? When you go, can I come along with you? Dum diddy dum die, dum 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 die. Dum diddy dum die, dum 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 die. When dark thoughts do trouble me, while my way I wend, my fearful mind no place to flee asks, when will the night time end? Oh, when will the night time end? Just when my heart despairing be no courage for to lend, betwixt what was and what will be, then daylight comes again. Oh, daylight comes again. Dum diddy dum die, dum dum die. 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 Dum die.
Hirsch with the last verse. And someone suggested this here on our first night, so thank you.
When the words of my mouth and the works of my hands are many years forgotten, the love I have lived will surely remain to linger in the wind. I'm gonna leave behind some laughter, I'm gonna leave behind some tears, fill my days with so much music, won't be room for fears. I'm gonna leave behind some love and all the love that I can give. After all's been done and said, best way I can live. Ooh, ooh, when the night is too long and I'm feeling low, wondering where's the meaning, I search around for the love that's come before me and feel it in the wind. I can hear the sound of laughter, I can feel the cool, cool tears, I can sing and play the music, chase away those fears. I believe there's been some love in all that someone had to give. After all's been done and said, how else can I live? Ooh, ooh, a time may come when you're on your own, looking for some purpose. Reach your hand back across the years and find me in the wind. Now's the time to share some laughter, now's the time to cry some tears, sing with friends and make some music, don't give in to fears. Try to leave behind some kindness, all the love you have to give. After all you do and say, that's the way to live. I'm gonna leave behind some laughter, I'm gonna leave behind sweet tears, fill my days with so much music, won't be room for fears. I'm gonna leave behind some love and all the love that I can give. After all's been done and said, best way I can live. Ooh, 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 ooh. Go to sleep, little baby. Go to sleep, my little one. And I will guard your rest, and you will find your wings, and I will dreams. Fly on your dreams. Close your eyes, little darling. Close your eyes, my dearest one. And I will keep you safe, and you will ride your ship, and I will watch you sail away on your dreams. Sail on your dreams. And I will stay with you till you wake, and you will bring back tales of where you've been. So close your eyes, go to sleep, go and chase your dreams. Close your eyes, go to sleep.